Good morning and welcome to the Dallas Download, your quick look at what's trending, what's happening, and what everyone's talking around DFW. I'm Kayla, and we've got a lot to get into today, so let's jump right in.
We're awarding 100 dads $500 so they can take a day off of work to be with their family or loved ones and be there and be present.
All of these things can take us away from home for weeks, if not months.
All that and more right here on the Dallas Download. Owning a home comes with a never-ending list of projects, but how do Americans compare to homeowners in the rest of the world? A new study took a look at everything from maintenance habits to repair stress. Joining us today is Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, to share some interesting findings with us. Hi, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about this new study and what you found.
So we just ran the Angie International Homeowner Study, and what we found was that while there are lots of differences between how we decorate, how we live in our homes around the world, what we found was that for all homeowners, their home is really their sanctuary, and they want to make sure that they're maintaining it. And in particular, Americans stood out for being especially hands-on and making sure they're staying ahead of issues in their home.
And what surprised you the most about the way Americans take care of their homes compared to people in other countries?
Well, Americans really focus on maintaining their home. 72% say they renovate or remodel in order to maintain the condition of their home. That ties them in first place with Germany. And 49% of homeowners really focus proactively on maintenance around their home to really potentially avoid some of the bigger unexpected challenges they might have.
And which country has the most proactive homeowners, and where do Americans land?
Well, South Korea in our study was the highest on the list of proactive homeowners at 56%. The U.S. was second at 49%. So we're still doing well on that front.
And what tends to stress U.S. homeowners out the most when it comes to upkeep and repairs?
When it comes to upkeep and repairs, what really stresses people is the unexpected expense that can come up and the fact that these can be unexpected events. You know, your water heater goes out when you least expect it, for example. So when it comes to homeownership, it's important when you think about the cost of it to include not only your mortgage or your insurance, but also a budget for maintenance and upkeep. And usually about 1 to 2% of the value of your home is a good amount of money to keep in an account for these unexpected occurrences. That way, you're ready for the routine maintenance, like having your air conditioner tuned up, all the way to fixing, a leaky faucet or some other issue that might pop up, because that can help to alleviate the stress of the situation.
And if someone feels behind on home maintenance, what should they do first?
Well, if you're feeling behind, which, at any point in time, all homeowners do, start by making a list of things around your house and take a critical eye to your house and then rank those by severity or issues that relate to safety, structural, mechanical, all the way down to kind of your dream list of things you'd want to have done. And then lay your budget against it and start with some of the smaller structural or safety issues first. That way you can build some confidence as you work through that longer list. But sometimes just getting it down on paper or getting it written down is what can help to relieve some of that stress.
And I know I'm taking notes, but for anyone who wants to make a list of their own, where can people go for more information?
You can go to Angie.com, that's ANGI.com, where you can learn more about this study as well as articles that have tips on maintenance and maintaining your home, as well as our cost guide. So if you're not sure how much something is going to cost, we can help you get to the answer on that as well.
Angie Hicks, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Summer is the season for backyard parties, brunches, and getting together with your friends. If you're looking for simple ways to make those gatherings feel a little more special, we've got some ideas for you today. Joining us now is Lauren Newman, award-winning spirits expert and U.S. brand ambassador for Luxardo. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hi, Kayla. I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. I'm glad to hear that. So what drinks are really trending this summer?
So coffee flavor is super trending right now. Obviously, the espresso martini is the #1 drink in the country for a reason, not going anywhere. But we're also seeing coffee flavor in different types of cocktails too, whether that's putting it into a classic like a Negroni or making a super spritzy and fun espresso and tonic on the patio. These drinks are incredible, complex, and super fun to drink.
And I see you're making some cocktails that look impressive but seem pretty approachable. How can people recreate them at home?
Well, Kayla, I wouldn't suggest a cocktail that you couldn't make at home because honestly, when I'm entertaining, I want it to be easy and foolproof. For the espresso tonic, super easy. You're just going to do an ounce of either Luxardo espresso or the brand new this week, first in the world decaf espresso liqueur, and top that with tonic. You can garnish it with a lemon twist, an orange twist, or don't have a zester at home, no problem. You can use a Luxardo maraschino cherry instead. And then for the espresso martini, I think that might seem a little more intimidating to people, but really it's not. It's equal parts. You're going to do 1 ounce vodka, 1 ounce espresso or cold brew, and 1 ounce of either decaf or regular Luxardo espresso liqueur. Give that a good shake. If you're too busy hosting to go to Pilates class, don't worry. Your arms are going to be jacked by the end of this night, shaking up these drinks. And then you're going to strain it into a glass. I like to use a martini glass, but you can put it really in anything. And just garnish it with a few espresso beans. This drink is super easy to make and really fun for home parties just because they look incredible. Also, if you don't have coffee or espresso at home, no sweat. You can just do equal parts vodka, coffee liqueur. All the complexity is in the bottle. Just shake that up.
And what are some easy entertaining tips that can help hosts pull everything together this summer?
Well, Kayla, I am known as the queen of charcuterie boards. So I love throwing a good board together just because it gives everyone something to nosh on rather than having a bunch of different platters of things. And when I'm doing a board, I like to follow a few rules. I like to do a couple pieces of cheese, a couple different meats, some crackers, and then something sweet, in this case maybe some fruit or a fruit spread, and then something savory like some salty olives or salted almonds. Also, when it comes to hosting, I personally like to work smarter, not harder. So one of my favorite things to do is batch a pitcher of espresso martinis, equal parts vodka, coffee, and espresso liqueur, and then have my guests actually pour that into their own shaker tins with ice to shake and strain. It makes for a really cool, like filmable or photographable Instagram moment, and it makes my guests do all the work while I get to sit back and actually enjoy my own party. Finally, I love setting up a spritz station using some of our other incredible liqueurs made with over 200 years of Italian heritage. For summer, I love our limoncello as well as our aperitivo. You set those up with a couple soda flavors, ice, wine glasses, and a bottle of Prosecco. Your friends will be telling you you're an incredible host, and you'll just be sitting back and not lifting a finger, which I love.
Well, I know I'm taking notes on this, but for the folks out there who aren't, where can people go for more information?
LuxardoUSA.com is an incredible resource, not only for recipes like for this espresso Negroni or espresso and tonic, but also for inspo pictures and ideas, hosting tips, and additionally, there's a great store locator that you can use to find Luxardo products near you.
Lauren Newman, it has been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Ciao, Kayla. Thanks for having me.
Many women have had the experience of knowing something doesn't feel quite right, but struggling to get clear answers. New research is highlighting some of the challenges women face when it comes to hormonal and metabolic health care. Joining us now is Dr. Janelle Duah from Maven Clinic. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm glad to hear that. So GLP-1s and hormone therapy are two of the fastest growing categories in medicine right now. Your research suggests women aren't getting adequate follow-up care after starting these treatments. What's going wrong?
Yeah, so what we are seeing is that there is unprecedented access to these life-changing medications, the GLP-1s and hormone replacement therapy. But what is crucial but really missing is that follow-up that includes education and counseling around lifestyle, stress, nutrition, exercise, and that takes the woman's lived experience as part and parcel of an important aspect of that holistic care. What we have found is that over half of women that take these sort of medications, again, GLP-1s or hormone replacement therapy, find that their follow-up is inconsistent, inadequate, and pretty much meaningless in helping them to understand what these medications do, how they may be playing a role in their bodies, and how to appropriately and optimally take these medications to enhance their health.
And a lot of viewers may be dealing with issues like weight changes, hormones, PCOS, or even menopause. Why is it so often hard for women to get clear answers and coordinated care?
Yeah, and I can speak to this as both a patient and a provider. So on the patient side, I have PCOS, which is now known as PMOS, and I have been left to navigate the healthcare system for the 20 years that I have been living my life with this diagnosis. I have myself been from doctor to doctor, trying to understand if my symptoms were random, if they were connected, if they were part of an overarching diagnosis, and really finding it hard to find a provider that could help me answer those questions. And we have found that providers really do acknowledge that gap. 20% of providers that we surveyed did admit that there seems to be a training gap, especially in the realm of menopause care, but that can be extrapolated to women's health in general. So it's really hard for women to get answers because they are forced to navigate a siloed healthcare system, including providers that might not feel adequately trained to really, really manage the concerns that are being brought to them.
And you've personally navigated PCOS yourself, as you mentioned, and you use GLP-1 medications yourself. How did your own experience shape the way you think about women's health care?
Yeah, having to navigate the traditional healthcare system and jumping from doctor to doctor and really feeling that that I wasn't getting answers, that my symptoms weren't being heard, that I wasn't being listened to, really ingrained a passion in me to do things differently. And that's really what drew me to Maven. Our motto is to provide holistic, comprehensive care that looks beyond a prescription, looks beyond a diagnosis or symptoms, and really addresses the woman and her health as whole person and patient-centered. So we really want to change the way that women's health is delivered nationwide.
And for women watching who feel frustrated or unheard when it comes to their health, what should they know and what can they do to advocate for themselves?
Yes, I think first and foremost, women should really know that they should be listened to, that we have a great inclination for understanding when things might be off or be wrong, and we really should follow and trust that instinct. We should be prepared to discuss these things in our encounters with our providers. It may take a second or third or fourth opinion to find a provider who really listens, who makes you feel heard, who again looks beyond the prescription and really wants to get to know you and your lived experience. That has been hard in our traditional healthcare system, but I think that's what Maven does really, really well. We have providers who are passionate and have experience and expertise in GLP-1 care and hormonal health. Now you can access that nationwide. Women can, just at their fingertips. So I really want women to know that they should trust themselves, they should advocate for themselves, and there is care out there for them, like what we have at Maven, that really listens and wants to create a comprehensive and holistic plan that works for them.
And what makes Maven's approach different from the growing number of digital health platforms entering this space?
Yeah, so actually Maven has been around for over a decade, providing care for women and their families and affecting and improving the health of millions and millions of people. So that was classically through an employer-based benefit. Now we've been able to study our health outcomes. We have our own research institute. We know what we're doing. So the shift that is happening is that we are now improving access and expanding access, not bound by an employer-based benefit or if you were employed at all, but directly to women nationwide. So we are different because we've been providing comprehensive holistic care for a decade now. And what is that shift is that it's now going to be available for women all across the country.
And as you kind of just mentioned, Maven says it's focused on closing gaps for women and families. What does that mean and how is the company doing that?
Yes, so we have care that takes a look at the plan being comprehensive and holistic, taking into account a woman's lifestyle, her diet, her nutrition, her exercise, her mental health. We do offer our GLP-1 and hormone care offerings, but we have upwards of 30 other specialties that we know are important for helping a woman thrive and not survive. So we really take a comprehensive, holistic approach. That is, our two main pillars are in the GLP-1 and hormone care space, but we have other specialties that we know can help a woman and her family improve their health in many ways.
And doctor, where can our viewers go for more information?
Yes, so your viewers can check out mavenclinic.com/care to see if our GLP-1 and hormone care offerings are right for them.
Dr. Janelle Duah, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us.
A lot of us spend years thinking about saving for retirement, but what actually happens when it's finally time to use that money? New research shows many retirees are actually nervous about spending their savings even decades after planning. Joining us today are Terri Fiedler from Corebridge Financial and financial expert Jean Chatzky to help make sense of it all. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla.
So Terri, what stood out most to you in this research about how people feel about spending their retirement savings?
Yeah, so our research revealed something interesting, that there's actually a disconnect between the retirement that people envision for themselves and how they actually feel about spending that money when they get into retirement. And 6 in 10 people associate retirement with words like freedom and enjoyment, yet only 25% or a quarter of those people feel comfortable with seeing their assets decline in their retirement years. And so people have spent their entire careers working and saving for their retirement that they have dreamed about, yet they don't feel comfortable spending that money when they get there.
And Jean, why do so many people feel anxious about spending money in retirement even after they've worked so hard to save it?
There are so many unknowns involved in this retirement phase of life. How long are you going to live? What are your healthcare costs likely to look like? What's the market going to do? What will happen with inflation or interest rates? And all of these factors combined really tie retirees up in knots when it comes to spending the money. 40% of people in retirement told us in this research that they have not spent as much as they would have liked, simply because they're trying to preserve their retirement savings. The flip side, and what seems to work, is having a plan for decumulation, for actually spending down your assets over time. The people who develop this kind of a plan are more likely to feel confident and empowered when it comes to using their resources.
And Terri, how can having a plan for drawing down savings make retirement feel less stressful? And is the 4% rule still a good rule?
Yeah, rules of thumb can be a good starting point, but retirement is really too personal and complex to have a one-size-fits-all approach. Everyone has different lifespans, for example, healthcare costs, and when you retire, the market conditions can be different when I retire versus when you retire, Kayla. And so it's important to have a personalized strategy and a personalized plan that fits your circumstances and your desires. And so working with a financial planner can help you get on track and to save and prepare for a retirement that matches your aspirations.
And Jean, what are some things people can start doing today to feel more comfortable and confident about their retirement spending?
Start getting a grip on your own retirement. When is it likely to happen? Where are you going to live? Are you going to continue to earn money, as a lot of retirees do these days? And take all of that information, sit down with a financial professional, and start actually mapping it out. Specifically, where is the money going to come from? When will you claim Social Security, which will form the base of your income in retirement? Will you convert other assets to guaranteed lifetime income that can last as long as you do? Once you've got that plan, you're going to feel a lot better as you roll out of your earning years.
And Terri, where can people go if they'd like to learn more information?
Yeah, to learn more, go to corebridgefinancial.com/decumulation.
Terri, Jean, thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Summer vacations are exciting, but packing, planning, and traveling can sometimes feel like a lot. The good news is there are some simple ways to make the whole experience a lot easier. Joining us now is lifestyle expert Kelsey Griffin. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good.
So what's your number one tip for planning time away from home this summer?
Yeah, so people tend to think of travel as just vacations, but the truth is so many of life's biggest moments, like a new job, a relocation, maybe a home renovation, or a temporary work assignment, all of these things can take us away from home for weeks, if not months. So that's why I love Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. They have an extended stay brand for every single different type of traveler. You can think brands like Hawthorne, Echo Suites, and Waterwalk. These are all designed for travelers who need more than just a place to sleep. Plus, with spacious suites, kitchens, and really thoughtful amenities like full gyms, on-site laundry, and smart TVs, travelers can really maintain their routine and just feel more comfortable while they're away from home. And right now they have a variety of offers that can help you save on your next extended stay. So you can find more details at wyndhamhotels.com/extended stay.
And how can we stay comfortable, organized, and refreshed while traveling this summer?
Yeah, so really the goal for me is always to just feel less stressed while traveling. And really those three things are the key. So first of all, for comfort, I always dress in layers because planes, trains, cars, they are just never the temperature that you want them to be at. So layers kind of solves that problem. And then next, organization is really going to save you so much stress. So something I like to do is I actually keep a tech pouch and then also a toiletries bag fully stocked and ready to go at all times. So I have my cords, chargers, and adapters, and then also some travel size toiletries just stocked. And that way, anytime I go to travel, I know that I'm going to have my absolute essentials packed and ready to go. And then lastly, to feel refreshed on the plane after a long travel day, I just like to keep a few small items with me. So things like a face mist, a lip balm, maybe some gum, nothing too complicated, but just having these little items will really help you just feel more refreshed at the end of a long travel day.
And what are some easy ways to help keep the trip fun and stress-free for families?
Yeah, so if you're traveling with your family, Legoland Florida is built for families. So they have over 50 rides, shows, and attractions, plus a water park, Peppa Pig theme park, and a sea life aquarium. They have their new Galactic Coaster, which is an indoor space-themed family coaster where kids can customize their own spacecraft. And they have their Lego Festival running July 20th through August 16th that has 5 different interactive zones that are packed with build challenges and live entertainment. And they also have running June 11th through July 19th, the FIFA World Cup 2026 experience that lets kids meet Lego versions of soccer superstars like Messi and Ronaldo, and even attempt to score against a life-size Lego figure. And on July 4th, they have their Red, White, and Boom returning to celebrate America's 250th birthday with an amazing fireworks show. So they have so much going on for the family, and you can find out more at legoland.com/Florida.
And my friend, where can we go for more information?
Yeah, so again, you can go to wyndhamhotels.com/extended stay and legoland.com.
Kelsey, Griffin, it has been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Millions of Americans travel by air every year, but for passengers with mobility disabilities, that experience can come with unique challenges. New federal training requirements for airline employees take effect June 17th, and advocates say they can make air travel safer and more accessible. Joining us now are Tom Wheaton with Paralyzed Veterans of America and Maria Town with the American Association of People with Disabilities. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Tom, what are some of the potential dangers passengers with mobility disabilities face during boarding and deplaning?
Well, the boarding process requires a transfer from the wheelchair into a very skinny aisle chair. And if not careful, we run the risk of being dropped. And that's exactly what happened to a very close friend of mine, a Marine Corps veteran, quadriplegic. The untrained personnel carrying him dropped him violently on the floor. He broke his tailbone, and then through surgeries, the tailbone had to be removed. So has endured months of bed rest, and the independence that he enjoyed prior to that point was ripped away from him abruptly. And that's just simply inhumane.
And Maria, what can happen when airline employees aren't properly trained to handle mobility devices like wheelchairs and scooters?
When airline employees aren't properly trained to handle mobility devices like wheelchairs or scooters, these essential devices get broken and disabled people wind up stranded, like I was a few months ago when an airline broke my mobility scooter. It took weeks to get my scooter repaired, and I got it back, but many disabled people aren't that lucky. Many folks have to wait months and months for the airlines to fix or replace their wheelchairs, and these long waits can have negative consequences on our health and on our lives. That was the case for Ingracia Figueroa, a disability advocate. Her wheelchair was damaged during air travel. The airline did not provide her with a proper fitting or supportive replacement chair, so Ingracia was literally stuck in an ill-fitting chair for weeks as she fought with the airline to fix her custom wheelchair. She developed pressure sores and as a result died.
And Maria, what changes will passengers see under these new federal training requirements?
Under these new federal training requirements, airline personnel who assist people with disabilities and who handle our devices will undergo hands-on training and be assessed on device handling competency on an annual basis. With this training in place, people with disabilities should have better, safer experiences when we travel. We should be able to fly with confidence, knowing that our devices won't get damaged during transit. But these improvements in customer experience will only happen if the new training requirements are enforced by the Department of Transportation and fully implemented by every airline in the United States.
And Tom, what message do you have for airlines as these new rules take effect?
Well, air travel is a basic civil right. And yet 40 years after the Air Carrier Access Act was signed, it remains unsafe and even deadly for people with disabilities. These airlines must ensure that their employees are fully trained to be able to take care of our needs. And this goes well beyond, compliance. This is about dignity, respect, trust, safety.
And Tom, where can viewers go for more information?
Well, please go to pva.org/air travel. There you can learn your rights. You can sign our petition and learn more about our advocacy.
Tom, Maria, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Father's Day is coming up, and a new survey is shedding light on something a lot of families can relate to. Dads missing important moments because work gets in the way. The research found many fathers feel financial pressure to keep working, even when it means missing time with their kids. Joining us now is Gregory Randolph from DECT. Welcome, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So tell us about the Dad Time Off, or DTO, initiative.
For Father's Day, we really wanted to do something special. We didn't want to just offer a promotion or a sale or try to get people to buy something for Father's Day. We wanted to give something back to our community. And so we did a little research, and the findings told us that we needed to, put our money where our mouth is and do something for all the dads out there. The dad time off is a promotion, I guess you could call it, but we're awarding 100 dads $500 so they can take a day off of work to be with their family or loved ones and be there and be present.
And what did your survey reveal about the challenges working dads are facing today?
Oh, it was really something. I mean, we learned that about 65% of dads miss significant events with their family or their kids because of work. And about 55% of those miss those events because they simply couldn't afford to take a day off. And that really told us that this was something that needed our attention, and we wanted to lead by example, and that's where dad time off came from.
And are some dads feeling financial squeeze more than others, whether that's blue-collar dads versus white-collar dads, younger, maybe older dads?
Yes, our research revealed that, we have a lot of blue-collar customers being in the business that we're in, and it's so really alarming that, more blue-collar dads struggle than white-collar folks, but it makes sense because blue-collar dads frequently are wage earners. They're paid hourly. And so if they're not there at work, they're literally not getting paid. If you're a salaried employee, you have some paid time off, so maybe the burden's a little bit less. But blue-collar dads really, feel the pain the most. And then further to that, the younger dads, so millennials, young Gen Z dads who are just, starting out, building that foundation for their family, it's even tougher for them to get time off just because of the demands that's asked of them to provide for the family and build that foundation.
And what kind of support do blue-collar dads need from their employers?
Well, employees that are grounded and connected to their families, are happy, have that sense of peace and security about their home life are better employees, and employers need to recognize that. We're here to lead by example. We're not telling employers how to manage their teams, but we really believe that giving your employees that time off to do those important things like a birthday party. I mean, over 25% of dads had missed birthday parties because they couldn't afford to take a day off of work. That's a lot. And if we support our employees, we're there for them, they're going to be there for us. That's how you build a loyal, effective workforce. And it just, it pays off in the long run. And I think those dads, those employees, men and women, I mean, this isn't just about dads, but this campaign is where we're really raising awareness of them. They need to be there, and they'll be better employees. It pays off in the long run.
And how does the Dad Time Off campaign work, and who can be nominated for it?
It's really simple. We try to make this as easy as possible. We just need people you need to go to our website, decked.com. That's decked.com. And on the homepage there's a banner that'll tell you about Dad Time Off. Click through. And all we ask is for your name and your email address and a blurb about why this person should be a winner of Dad Time Off. And it can be you if you're a dad, or it can be your dad, or a dad who could use a day off with his family or with his kids. That's just at deck.com and DTO, and you can check it out right there.
Gregory, Randolph, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks a bunch for having us on, and we're really looking forward to seeing all those dads out there get nominated that are watching your show.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Dallas Download. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow along for more stories, more trends, and even more from your own city. We'll see you next time on the show we like to call the Dallas Download.